It just popped in there.
What?
It's the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Welcome once again, my fellow manipulators of digital fate. I'm Richie, this is Capricorn. I am finally starting to feel better after my run-in with not sleeping for 24 hours and getting sick and completely wiped out just so I could be a part of early access. So thank goodness for that. I'm on the recovery, I'm on the mend. Today's deck is another one from early access. It's one I'm pretty stoked about. It is a new version, an upgraded version of our Sultai Geist deck from last season, but Ixalan brings so many new crazy cards with it. Before we talk about the deck, I want to make sure you guys know that we have a spoiler short playlist with spoilers from the new Ixalan set. I'm going to link that up above and down below. Check that out if you're interested in my take on the new cards. Also, big shout out to my patrons over at patreon.com/quarantinecapricorn. That's Yuck, Foozy, and Squirrel at the Brew Crew Elite tier. And then, of course, our forever CPU savior, Terrence Rohrbach. Thank you guys so much for your contributions. This deck is called ULTRAGEIST because it was Super Geist, but now it's even crazier and it's ULTRAGEIST. Honestly, without rotation happening, without the 2-year rotation, we have so many cards in Standard, we can't even fit all of the cards that are good for this deck into it. And we'll get to that in a minute. We're going to break down the deck, but before that, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. All of that stuff does help out the channel so much, and I appreciate it greatly. And make sure to catch us live over on Twitch every Monday through Friday. That's twitch.tv/quarantinecapricorn, because if I'm live and I'm breathing, I'm there and I'm streaming. If we can get this video to 100 likes, I'll do a new version of this deck tech for the YouTube. And without further ado, let's check out the deck. Alright, so this is the newest iteration of my Sultai Geist deck, Willow Geist deck, and it's kind of wild. With Standard being so big now, because we didn't have rotation, we were supposed to 2 sets ago, where 2 sets bigger than Standard has ever been before. There's just so many cards, and it's so hard to figure out which ones we should actually use. So this deck is just kind of jamming a lot of one-ofs, but a lot of them are legendaries, and it kind of worked. You'll see in the games that there's just a ton of crazy interactions, and it's hard for our opponent to know at any given time what the hell we're trying to do, because there's just so many different variables and so many different things we can do, but all of them are super value and provide a ton of value for the deck and give us ways to just go way over the top. So let's start at the bottom of the curve. We've got, obviously, Willow Geist, 1/1 trample for 1. It's going to get bigger as we remove things from the graveyard. The whole deck is built around self-milling and exiling things from the graveyard, so this thing gets really big really quick. We've got Seed of Hope as one of the only non-creature, non-permanent cards in the deck, because it mills 2 cards and then grabs us a permanent, and then we gain 2 life. So in a deck like this, where almost everything is permanents, it's basically just a better opt. It's an opt that puts the things you want in the yard and gives you also life. It's just kind of insane. We've also got 4 Deathbonnet Sprout, because if we get it down early, it really helps get things into the graveyard that we need, and then it flips into a big brute pretty quickly, a lot quicker than you think it would. But a new addition to this deck is Stalactite Stalker, a 1/1 menace for 1. Every time you descend on a turn, if you've descended at any point during your turn, you'll get to put a +1/+1 counter on the Stalker at the end of your turn. So this deck pretty much descends every single turn. As long as any permanent card went to the graveyard from somewhere, doesn't matter where, has to be a card though, can't be a token, it counts as descending. And that happens almost every turn in this deck, and this thing will just get really out of hand, and it forces our opponent to have to use their removal on just this crappy 1-drop. Otherwise, it's just going to get out of control and take over the game. But if that wasn't bad enough, this thing can also double as removal. We can pay 3, sack it to give something -X/-X, where X is its power. So it gets bigger, turns into a bigger threat, and then even if they try to kill it, we respond by just sacking it at instant speed and kill something of theirs, and also they lose their removal. It gets kind of wild. Moving on to the 2-drop slot, we do have 4 Scrapgorgers, because it helps us ramp, it helps us color fix, but also it exiles cards from the graveyard. So it helps us get those counters on Willow Geist, which is pretty key. And we can also bring it back with Tyvar, but we'll talk about him later. We've also got 4 copies of Likeness Looter. This card is insane in the deck. If you saw my last version of the deck before Ixalan came out, you know what this guy can do. 1/1 flyer for 2. It can tap to loot, but you can also just pay X to turn it into any creature in your yard. So we can pay a simple 1 mana to turn it into a Willow Geist or a Stalactite Stalker, and it just starts getting counters. And then later on in the game, we can turn it into, like, an Urborg Lhurgoyf once there's a bunch of creatures or a bunch of permanents in the graveyard, and then it's this huge Lhurgoyf that also still keeps all of the counters it got. So, and it has flying, so it has evasion. You're able to actually get through with this huge power creature. So, super, super good. But let's talk about the rest of the 1-drops. We've got Cruel Somnophage. We can mill ourselves for 4 if we want with the adventure. And then when it's in play, it has power and toughness equal to the number of creature cards in all graveyards. So it's going to be really good in this deck. Not only is it going to count all our stuff, but it's going to count our opponent's stuff as well, which makes this a little bit better in certain situations, but not every situation. We've also got a new card, Souls of the Lost. Star power and star +1 toughness, has Fathomless Descent. So this one has power and toughness equal to the number of total permanent cards in your graveyard, not just creatures. So this guy can get actually a lot bigger. It will count lands. And then we can also, when we play it, we discard a card or sacrifice a permanent. And in most decks, that's bad. But in this deck, sometimes we're looking for ways to put things in the yard, to trigger our Descent, or to just have more creatures in the yard for some of the other cards in the deck to utilize. So this is one of the decks that's able to utilize a card like this the most. We've also got 1 Tenacious Underdog, because if we happen to draw into it, we can just keep bringing it back for 4 mana from the graveyard every single turn by blitzing, and that counts as something leaving the graveyard. So it will put counters on Willow Geist, it will put counters on Likeness Looter if it's copying Willow Geist, and it gets kind of crazy. We've got 1 Mosswood Dreadknight, because again, we can keep jamming the adventure from the graveyard, which counts as something leaving our graveyard, and then replay the creature, so we get a ton of value off this. Now, I like having a lot of these cards as one-ofs, because I would rather draw one of them and one of another one than 2 copies of any of them, you know? Once we have one of a lot of these cards, like, we can just lean on that one copy and get the value we need. And a second copy is sometimes kind of redundant. So I do think a lot of these cards are more valuable as one-ofs, and being able to mix one of any one of them with one of any other one of them, rather than drawing 2 of the same thing. So Mosswood Dreadknight, super cool. We already talked about Lhurgoyf. We can kick it twice to mill a bunch of cards. It's going to help the deck a lot. We've got another new card here, the Ancient One, a 2-mana 8/8. But it can't attack or block unless you descend 8, which means you have to have 8 or more permanent cards in your graveyard. For this deck, that's super easy. And because this is a 2-mana creature, it's very easy for Likeness Looter to copy it, and now Likeness Looter will become an 8/8 flyer, which gets kind of absurd. But we also have an ability here for 4 mana. We can loot, and when we discard a card by doing it, target player mills cards equal to its mana value. So we can actually fill up our graveyard pretty easily if we absolutely need to. We've got 1 Agatha's Soul Cauldron, because not only is it going to exile stuff from our graveyard and trigger our Willow Geist, or our Likeness Looter copying our Willow Geist, but we're able to get use a lot of the really cool abilities, like Stalactite Stalker, being able to turn everything that has a counter into a Stalactite Stalker and use it as removal is really awesome. Being able to copy turn all of our creatures with counters into copies of Likeness Looter that can then all become whatever they want from the graveyard because it has the Likeness Looter's abilities is also really awesome. So there's a lot of cool ways for Soul Cauldron to get value here. Moving on to the 3-drop slot, we do have a Tyvar. This card is nuts in this deck. I wish I could include more, but I just can't fit everything. It's so crazy, and it's legendary, so it's kind of like what I was talking about before. I'd rather have one of this and one of something else than draw 2 of either of them. So this will mill 3 cards on -2 and then grab something that's 2 or less and put it into play. If we grab something like a Scrapgorger, we can use it immediately to play something else from our hand, which is kind of crazy. We can reuse stuff like Likeness Looter or use those when they come into play, which is kind of nuts. So much value with Tyvar, absolutely has to be included. We've also got the Mycotyrant, 3-mana Trampler. This is another new card, has power and toughness equal to the number of creatures you control that are fungi and or saprolings. And we actually have some fungi saprolings. We have Deathbonnet Sprouts at least. There might be a couple more in here, I'm not sure. But that's not really the reason we play it, that's just extra because at the beginning of your end step, you create X/1/1 black fungus creature tokens with this creature can't block, where X is the number of times you descended this turn. So this deck is descending a bunch every turn. You're going super wide with a bunch of 1/1s, and the Mycotyrant itself is getting super tall, and even if they use removal on the Mycotyrant, you still have all these 1/1s, and it's kind of crazy. We've also got Akawalli, the Seething Tower. And this guy's nuts too, but he's another legendary creature. So 3 mana for a 3/3 legendary fungus. If you've got 4 permanents in your yard, which is super easy to get to by turn 3, it gets +2/+2 and trample. So most times this comes down as a 3 mana 5/5 trample, just no strings attached. It's kind of wild. But if you get to 8 cards in your graveyard, which you can usually do within a couple more turns, then it gets an additional +2/+2, and it can't be blocked by more than 1 creature. Which means they need something that's a 7/7 or bigger in order to trade with this or eat it up. And most of the time they can't. Not that early in the game. Not if you jammed this on 3. And you can even pay 3 mana to copy this with the Likeness Looter, so it's kind of wild. We've also got 1 Invasion of Amonkhet. This is another card I wish we could add more copies of, but the power level of the current standard card pool is just insane, and I just can't fit everything. But 1 copy is definitely worth it. When we jam it, we get to mill 3 cards. Each opponent discards a card, and we draw a card. So it's value right out of the gate. And then most of the time, the turn we play it, we already know we're going to be able to swing in and flip it that turn. And then when it comes into play as a backside, it's a 4/4 copy of whatever we want in the graveyard. Which means it can just be a 4/4 Willow Geist out of the gate that starts as a 4/4 Trampler and just gets bigger from there instead of a 1/1. Or it can be a big Stalactite Stalker, or it can be a giant Likeness Looter. It can be whatever we need it to be, and it's kind of absurd to be completely honest, but it's super good in this deck. We also tried out 1 Everflowing Well, because it enters, mills 2, and draws 2. I mean, 3 mana to draw 2 at certain points in Standard is kind of on rate anyway, but the fact that we get a permanent in play to use as a resource as well kind of puts it over the top. And then the fact we get to mill 2 in a deck like this that wants to mill is even more silver lining value. But then it doesn't stop there. We get to descend 8 if we hit 8 or more permanent cards in our graveyard, which again, super easy. This thing flips into the Myriad pools. We can tap it for a blue mana, which helps us ramp. And actually, these cards that flip into lands, I think they're very overlooked for their ability to just add mana and to ramp you. Like, everyone's looking at the abilities, but just getting another land into play, an extra land for kinda free, can sometimes be sort of crazy. But this one in particular, if we use the mana from it to play a permanent spell, any other permanent spell that's already in play can become a copy of it until end of turn. So you could just imagine the kind of shenanigans you can do with that if you get it off. We have a lot of little guys earlier in the game that can just explode into huge things. We've also got 2 Skyfisher Spider. We're trying to steer clear of some of the stuff that's above 3 mana, keep this sort of low to the ground. But I think 2 Skyfisher Spiders along with the 4 Stalactite Stalkers as removal is worth it to have like that 6 card removal package in a way. I feel like 6 is the key number, and the Skyfisher Spider itself is really good because it comes into the battlefield. You get to sacrifice something that doesn't matter to you, and it gets added to your graveyard, which you want. You get to kill any permanent, which is super important, and then, if the Skyfisher Spider itself dies, you can exile it from your graveyard to gain life, and when it gets exiled from the graveyard, it will actually trigger the Willow Geist. So there's just a ton of synergy in this guy. It's hard to include more than 2. But we definitely want at least a 6-card package of removal, I think. So the 4 Stalactite Stalkers and the 2 Skyfisher Spider, I think is right. And then the last card I want to talk about is the Skullspore Nexus. Now, this can get nutty. It's very easy for our creatures to get super tall, super quick, with all the different, like, variants of Lhurgoyfs and stuff. So it's really easy to just jam this for only 2 green. And now, all of your creatures that are in play when they die, they give you a token creature that's the same size as whatever it was when it died. So if your Willow Geist is huge and it dies, not only are you gaining a bunch of life, but you're just basically getting another creature that's the same size as the Willow Geist. Or if your Lhurgoyf is a 10/11, you'll get a 10/11 token. Not only is that crazy, but you can just pay 2 mana and tap this to double any creature's power until end of turn, and you can do it in response to the thing dying, so you actually get a double power toughness creature, and that's just nuts. And combined with, like, the flying from Likeness Looter, the trample from Willow Geist, the menace from Stalactite Stalker, like, you could just win the game outright by doubling your power sometimes. So this is another card I'd like to have more of, but there's just so many good cards to try to cram in. We absolutely need to play one, and I don't feel bad about keeping it to 1 because it is legendary. The land is a huge clusterfuck of a bunch of duels because we need them to make it work. The deck list is in the About section, so check that out if you're interested in it. And let's stop rambling because the deck's wild. Let's just check out the games. Oh, hey, it's Dev. What the hell is he doing at 7 in the morning? What a lunatic. We'll keep 7. We're gonna have to go Restless Reef on 1. Play a Scrapgorger on 2. It's my boy Dev. Alright. We'll do some of this, and then we'll do some of that. Not the greatest hand for what we're trying to do, but it's okay.
When I win, you're telling
Gonna
me
make
what
me
you
discard,
don't
huh?
think things.
We'll get rid of the land, I guess. You got a Toxrill in the yard. Good grief, a Toxrill. Sack the Geist. Nuke the Lily.
Fine. I know when
Spend a
I'm not
mana. Exile the Geist. Exile the Lily. Swing with a flying Geisty boy. And that's it. That's we're out of gas. We are out of gas. It is what it is. Greedy Freebooter. Greedy Freebooter is not gonna do a whole lot for us, is it? We do got a Restless Reef though, so we want to get this down. Do we want to swing with it? I mean, probably. Showing, showing, showing. Target player mills for. Thank you. What do we got? A Souls of the Lost. That's nice. That's kind of nice. Alright, we'll end the turn. We might want to grow our Scrapgorger by exiling the Seed of Hope. But I'm not 100% sure right now. Cruelty of Gix. Chapter 2. Alright, he's gonna find a sweeper. 100%. 100%. Alright. We're gonna exile Seed of Hope. To grow our Geisty boy. My turn. Do I really want to commit, though? Do I really want to? Activate only as a sorcery. Let's see what we can do here. We'll dump, I guess, Boseiju. And then kill him. Sick. What the hell kind of hand is this? Mulligan. What the hell kind of hand is this? We're keeping it. Let's see. Scrapgorger on 2. Lhurgoyf on 3. Just toss back, I guess, the Nexus. Can't really Scrapgorger on 2, right? We got a Seed of Hope on 2. But if we get an untapped black source... No, we didn't. We did not. So, we'll grab a Sprout then. Go like that. So next turn we go Scrapgorger Sprout, I believe. Freaking market gnome, man. What a time to be alive. Fabrication Foundry is wild. What a card. What a card that is. Alright, let me think. Let me think. Probably need to kill something with the Skyfisher Spider, right? Alright, let's start with this and try and hit a land. There we go. We'll grab the Waste. Play the Waste. Now we have 4 mana. We'll play the Stalker. Exile a Seed of Hope. And we will kick a Lhurgoyf. We'll kick a Lhurgoyf once with blue. Alright. It's not great, but it's getting there. It is getting there. 5/5. We'll just take it. We'll wait to block it when it's bigger. Because it's only going to get bigger, right? Now the question is, do we destroy the Thousand Moon Smithy? Or do we destroy the Gnome Soldier? We might just destroy the Gnome Soldier, to be honest. What do we even sack though when we do it? Maybe just the Lhurgoyf. It's not really that great, right? That sets us up to have... Yeah. Because that sets us up to have... pretty strong next turn. The Stalker gets bigger. The Sprout's gonna flip. Scrapgorger's about to get its third counter. That seems pretty good. Good old Thousand Moon Smithy. What a card. What a card. Probably my favorite card in the set, to be honest. Alright, we've got a Reliquary. Jam it. What is he going to take out? He's worried about me killing something. Interesting. I love it. Takes out my 1-drop. Uses his 1 removal spell to take out my 1-drop. Feels real good. It feels real good. Let's swing 9. Shall we? Alright, play the Scrapgorger. We'll hold this up as a bluff. End the turn. We could have a Sunfall. I mean, I doubt it. I don't feel like you play Sunfall in this, but it's definitely possible. Nahiri's Resolve. Wild, man. Wild. Alright, we want to definitely exile a creature. Do we have a double of something? Not really. Not really. Oh, he's just gonna scoop. Oh, right. We get up to 10 lethal. 10 points of damage and we're lethal. This looks fine. We will keep it. Millennium Calendar. Okay. Start with the Wastes. We'll play a Sprout. We'll pass the turn. Alright, we'll play Yavimaya Coast. We're gonna Seed of Hope. Gain some life. Let's grab Akawalli. That seems really good. And then we're gonna do it again. Grab the Likeness Looter. And swing 1. And then we can almost definitely play Akawalli as a 5/5 on turn 3, which is going to be nutty. Nutty, nutty, nutty. Alright. Jam the thing. No tax. See, do we want Likeness Looter or Willow Geist? Probably Likeness Looter. I think next turn we Tyvar, keep up 1 mana, grab the Likeness Looter, pay 1 mana to turn the Likeness Looter into a Willow Geist. Something like that. Alright. Mightstone and Weakstone to kill the dude. That's fine. Flippity flip flip. We're gonna do some... this. We are going to save our Skyfisher Spider to kill the Millennium Calendar, I think. Which should be pretty gnarly. Maybe we'll just do this. Yeah, let's do this. Exile you. No attacks, end turn. We gotta save the Hulk to block the Creeper in case he tries to kill the Tyvar. But next turn we got some wild stuff happening, so... wild, wild, wild. We can turn into an Akawalli and swing for 7 in the air if we want. We can also just turn into a Mycotyrant. Do a bunch of milling. Alright, get rid of the Darkslick Shores. Nothing in his yard, huh? Let's get rid of... do we have 2 of anything? Not really. Let's get rid of the Likeness Looter. Alright, we're gonna go like this. Then we're gonna go like this. We're gonna grab... oh god. Guess we grab you. And then we go like this. And then we go... I mean, we could sack the Willow Geist if we really wanted to. It would cost us all our mana, though. Let's do this. Draw a card, discard. You. Uptick. And then we probably want to just be a Souls of the Lost, right? One, two. Souls of the Lost. We'll do some smiggity smashy. If he wants to trade for the Deathbonnet Hulk with 2 of his dudes, let him. Wandering Emperor. Oh, you son of a bitch.
I hope you're ready to lose.
I didn't think for even a second he was playing something like that in this deck. God damn.
I am almost sad to see you go.
I mean, we've still got our Skyfisher Spider. We can kill the damn Millennium Calendar whenever we want. It's all in the hips. It's all in the hips. Sure.
I have got new moves to teach you.
What you got for me? Nothing. You got nothing for me. I should have. God damn it. I needed to exile something with the Scrapgorger so both Geists could grow at the end of turn, and I forgot. Mill 2 cards, draw 2 cards. See what we can get here. Do some descending. Grab an Amonkhet. Good old trample, baby. Good old trample. Good old trample. Good and old trample. What you got for me? Do you has counterspell? Do you has counterspell? You have another Wandering Emperor. But why?
Run away.
I don't understand.
You'll be safer.
I don't understand. I just don't understand. Why? 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 We're gonna do that. You exile whatever the hell you want to exile, my friend. Go for it.
My judgment is final.
Alright, so Emperor's Toast. We'll kill the Creeper. What you got? You're gonna double up. That's fine. I don't care. I do not care, my friend. Goodbye.
Of training for this.
Give me some life. End the turn. Flip the Everflowing Well. Let's go. Sure. We're still flipping, baby. Wait, what? Oh, it's beginning of upkeep. It's beginning of upkeep. I thought it was the end of my turn. Some things trigger on the end, some things trigger on upkeep. It's weird. You'd think they would want to keep it consistent across everything that triggers upon descend. But they don't. They do not. Alright, more things exiled is what it is. Do you think he has a counterspell? Show me what you've got. You're screwed. Gonna hit that sucker. Sure, that's fine. That is fine. You treacherous bastard. Alright, we're gonna exile something. I guess we'll hit you. Grab a Willow Geist, I guess. Ah. Let's see. What do we want to put into play? The ancient one? Maybe. Yeah, probably. Probably. It's gonna have to block the Deathbonnet Hulk, right? So we'll go here and here. Get rid of, I don't know, you, I guess. Do what you gotta do. Wow, no blocks. Out of your mind. You're out of your absolute mind. You're crazy. You're so crazy. Trying to decide what's better. This would be an 8/8 or a 4/4 that grows as we exile things from the yard. Mycotyrant. Like all of them could be relevant. Let's do this one. Let's do that one, shall we? Get out of here. Get out of here, you dumb calendar. You toasted. You toasty 3D. Alright. Good luck. Good luck to you, my friend. Just gonna exile some stuff. What can we become a copy of right now? Willow Geist, maybe? Well, that seemed kind of wild. This looks like a pretty good hand. We will keep it. We're gonna jam Boseiju on one. Do some Deathbonnet Sprouty. Get that Geisty boy down on two. Swing one. Pass the turn. Ashimu VIP. Intrepid Paleontologist. Alright, we've got the Glade. Can only play one black spell, so we might as well make it the Tyvar. Get the most out of our turn. Actually, we can go Scrapgorger. And now we can use the Scrapgorger to play the Stalactite Stalker, and we can exile a land from our yard, put another counter on the Geist, and then swing 3. Seems good. Stalker gets a counter. I don't mind trading with the Paleontologist if he tries to kill Tyvar. Let's go. Show me your big dumb dinos. Bigum dumbum dinos. That is unfortunate, isn't it? Let me think. Let me think. We can do this. We've got 2 more mana. I could theoretically turn it into a Willow Geist if I wanted to. But I think I would rather do this. Draw a card, discard. That helps me descend with the shores. And then I can play the Glade. He's trying to ramp, man. He's trying to ramp so hard. Alright, let's try this real quick. Swing and swing. Let's see what he does. Because if he tries to double block the Willow Geist, we can sack the Stalactite Stalker to kill one of them. Which is kind of awesome. Alright, that's fine. We're going to uptick, untap, play this, and then we're going to pay 1 and turn it into a Willow Geist. A flying, trampling Willow Geist. Okay. It is what it is. It is what it is. Yeah, that's all I got. End the turn. We get to descend on our Stalactite Stalkers though, so that's cool. Hey USG, welcome to the stream. Feeling slightly under the weather, but I'm resolved to get through this. Got 6 more hours left. 6 more hours. Let's exile something from our yard to put a counter on the Willow Geist. My turn. Alright, let's see. We could turn into a Scrapgorger if we wanted to. Probably not the best. Let me think. We could... You know what? 7... Yes, actually. This is what we're gonna do. 1, 2. Scrapgorger. Swing with the Willow Geist. Swing with the Stalactite Stalkers. Let's see what he does for blocks. We have so many options what we could do. We could exile 2 cards from our graveyard to make the Willow Geist a 7/7 if he blocks with the 6/5. Or we could just sack one of the Stalactite Stalkers. Let me think. 3, 4, 5. So we could get 2 for 1 ourselves and kill the Ojair. I don't know if that's worth it though. I don't know if that is worth it. Thinking. I think we just kill the paleontologist. Five, 6, 7, 8, 9. We can get him to 2. can get him to 2. Which is kinda gnarly. We'll just do the damage. It's fine. We'll just do it like that.
You've got this.
End the turn. So now we can just make him a 7/7 blocker if we want. We can also still use the 3 mana to give something -3/-3 with the Stalactite Stalker. So we definitely have the upper hand. We're in a really good position now. Tribute to the World Tree. That's probably too little too late. Another one? Oh god. Yeah, that's, he doesn't realize. He doesn't realize what we can do. Dump a land. You silly man. Silly, silly man. Thanks so much for checking out my channel. I'd like to give a huge shout out to all of my patrons over at Patreon. Without you guys, this channel would not be possible, so honestly, thank you from the bottom of my heart for all of your contributions. If you haven't yet, like and subscribe. The more likes we get and the quicker we get them, the bigger this channel will grow and the faster it will grow. I'd love nothing more than this channel to become something very special for you guys, but it's entirely up to you how fast that happens. Also, if you'd like more deck text, that's somewhere over there. And if you'd like to see what else the channel's been up to lately, that's somewhere up that way. Also, subscribe, circle below, do all the things.